To my fellow white people, what if I told you that race is just an idea? Or that racism, systemic racism, is actually a lot like the Matrix?
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
So there are two options. Take the blue pill and stay asleep to the reality of racism. But for Neo to see the truth, for us white people to see the truth, we have to wake up. We have to take the red pill. Here's how career coach Marlena Bayless explains it.
Thinking about it like the machines, right? What are the machines in this matrix that we're living in? Because for black people, it's like walking past people who are asleep and they're walking in the matrix, but they're not awake. They don't see it all. They don't see everything that's happening to everyone. And we are then awakened and understanding that we're living in two worlds, right? But we're also very conscious of the machines at work.
Dr. Wendy Moore agrees with the metaphor in her essay in Contemporary Sociology, and Miami University's Dr. Rodney Coates may have been first to write about this in Covert Racism. Quote, "The Matrix serves to create and preserve an illusion of reality in which differences in outcomes associated with racial hierarchies are defined as natural or normal functioning of a democratic system."
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
I had my red pill moment not long after I finished reading this book called White Fragility. And I noticed that just a few days later, it had risen to number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. The same paper on the front page had a headline that read, "An awakening in America is prying at racism's grip." But I was bothered by the fact that I didn't have an awakening for 37 years. How did I make it 37 years? Well, the author of White Fragility explains it like this.
And part of being white is that I could get that far in life. I was a parent at that point. I was in my 30s, and never had I had my racial worldview challenged, 1. 2, definitely not by a significant number of people of color, and not in any kind of sustained way. And it worked like a mirror, right? I was like a fish being taken out of water. I would not have been able to tell you I had a racial worldview, because as a white person, I was raised to see myself as just human. Now, you're a particular kind of human. I'm just human. And if we're going to be talking about race, I expect we're going to be talking about your race, not my race. So most white people have a very unracialized identity.
In other words, I didn't see white as a race. A lot of white people don't see white as a race because we just sort of accept what the Matrix shows us. We never really question it. Toni Morrison, winner of a Pulitzer and a Nobel Prize, talked about what it means for white people to question the world around us, to examine systemic racism in a 1993 interview.
If the racist white person, I don't mean the person who is examining his consciousness and so on, doesn't understand that he or she is also a race, it's also constructed, it's also made, and it also has some kind of serviceability. But when you take it away, I take your race away. And there you are, all strung out, and all you got is your little self. And what is that? What are you without racism? Are you any good? Are you still strong? You still smart?
American historian Nell Irvin Painter puts it like this: race is an idea, not a fact. But this is tricky. Race is just a social construct, but we should still see color, because saying things like, "I don't see color," that allows us to stay asleep in the Matrix. Here's what I mean. This is an Ishihara test for colorblindness. Now, apologies to anyone who's actually colorblind, but for the rest of us, we say, "I don't see color." So it's just a bunch of dots, right? But if you do see color, then this becomes the number 74 or 12. By seeing color, you can see patterns. And by seeing patterns, it can be like a red pill moment. To borrow one more analogy, if you are willing to be like Dorothy and go confront the Wizard of Oz, to look past the smoke in the mirrors and pull back the curtain.
Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
well, then you can begin to see race and racism for what they really are. So start with a book. Actually read a book or listen to old interviews. I went back and listened to a lot of old interviews and speeches from Toni Morrison. The bottom line is just to learn, because Black people have been telling us white people a lot of the same things for a long time, but maybe this time we'll really hear what they've been saying.
A lot of people are in the matrix and being woken up, and they kicking and screaming, and they don't want to be. But the Black folks, we've been living in this dark cloud. We just asking you to wake up with us so we can help fight it, so we can change it.